Like you, welcome to our next Vitality Chat. We have a really special guest with us today. It's Dr. Ken Cooper. Dr. Ken has been studying with us for a number of years, and we are very, very pleased to have him as one of our lead instructors at the Peak Potential Institute. He brings such a wealth of knowledge and experience to his chiropractic practice, his teaching, and we're just so happy to have you with us, Ken.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So Ken, we know your vast experience in chiropractic and pediatric, having graduated from Life University and being a student of Dr. Larry Webster, the founder of the ICPA, as well as all these other credentials you have. But you have a little different background that we'd like for you to share, if you wouldn't mind, a little bit of your journey of how you got into chiropractic and some of those stories, if you wouldn't mind sharing those.
Oh, by all means. Start off with, I didn't want to be a chiropractor. I had really tried to avoid it. I was at a time in my life where, I was searching and I was coming out of the military. But really, I had no intention of becoming a chiropractor. I originally got into the military to help people, just in general, to help people. I saw a car accident one time and I decided that, since I didn't know what to do, that would never happen again. So I went into the Navy to become a hospital corpsman. And in that path, once I had completed training and everything, I got stationed at the Naval Hospital in Yokosuka, Japan, and interestingly enough, got put right into the pediatric clinic. And so I had the opportunity to learn from an amazing pediatrician there that was actually Chinese, and he had nationalized to America and was in the Navy. He was a full bird captain. The man could speak like 12 languages, and so he was very intelligent, very, very educated. And one of the first things he had me do as a young corpsman, he didn't like the way that the vaccine informed consent forms in the clinic were there. And so he made me go through every insert of every vaccine and rewrite every informed consent so that it actually reflected both the pros and the cons so that parents could make true
Wow.
decisions on their kids' healthcare.
Wow.
Healthcare choices.
That's
Wow, that's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then from there, of course, I was just getting to the point where I was just having our first baby. Well, I wasn't having her. Christine was having our first baby, and so that was a big deal to learn this information. And they moved me in the hospital over to the ICU and the emergency room, and through there, I got my certification as a nationally registered EMT. I was certified in pediatric advanced life support, neonatal advanced life support, advanced cardiac life support. So really, I was into pediatrics in the medical side before I ever knew there was a pediatrics in the chiropractic side. Um, Once I had gotten out of the military, I really, honestly, it was with our first baby that really guided me into why I wanted to be a chiropractor. Because with all this training that I had, I still was sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning, driving my brand new daughter around base, laps upon laps upon laps, so she would sleep. She was definitely colicky by full definition, and I had no answers. None of the pediatricians that I worked for had any answers. None of the doctors in the hospital had any answers. It was just, she'll grow out of it, which we so often hear.
Mhm.
Right.
From there is when we brought her home to America on leave one time, and my stepdad was a chiropractor, and he adjusted her, and the difference in that baby was night and day instantly.
Amazing.
That got my attention. So maybe there was something to this chiropractic thing, even though still at that point I was trying to avoid it.
Mhm.
Um, but once I had decided I had to get out of the Navy eventually, or I was going to retire, one of the two. And when we made the decision that we really didn't want to make a career out of it, after 7 years in, had to make a career decision of what else am I going to do. And that's when I really started looking seriously into chiropractic and started the process of going to Life in Georgia. And of course, that's when the rest of the story starts to come in with meeting Dr. Webster, him adjusting my kids and my wife through two of her pregnancies and seeing really how pediatric chiropractic starts to play into a child's life a lot more positively than what I had experienced in medicine.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a whole different realm, salutogenic model of wellness as opposed to doing, which is important, of course, acute care, especially when you're talking about ICU care. I mean, there's a need for that type of thing, but I think I would imagine that it could be very trying to spend your life, dealing with these acute emergencies all the time and probably losing a fair amount of the patients as well.
It really got to the point where I was tired of fighting death.
I
Yeah,
bet.
I wanted to work in helping people live.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Really the big decision point right there is switching that position in healthcare, and it was a good choice.
Yeah, well, it's a huge shift. It's a huge shift to take a model that you're so used to working with and then shift that model into a completely other model, which really was what we are as chiropractors. It's a different model. We're not trying to climb on the same ladder. We have our kind of our own ladder, and they're both necessary, but we really have to understand and delineate the difference between the
Yeah, but you
two.
bring up that one of the biggest points that certainly is true for us and so many people that study with us is that it's our own children that really are what
Yeah, motivate us.
that they're our greatest teachers. I mean, we think what we know and we don't know anything. And we certainly that was certainly true for us when our first was born in 1982, where we had to then develop the skills that we wanted to take care of her because there was nobody doing it. And now you've been out in practice and number of decades. Ken, is there anything that you can share with the people, watching this to inspire them to the work that you're doing and how you're doing? As we know you're doing amazing stuff up in Michigan, something you might want to share with others about your journey?
Or a little, or actually just to piggyback on that, maybe not just your journey, but what keeps you motivated? Like
Yeah.
I've known you for a really long time, and I've never seen you not motivated in chiropractic, not moving forward in chiropractic. I know there's a lot of stuff in your life. You have 5 kids, you have grandkids, you got a lot of things. But every time I see you and every time you teach, I see you moving forward, moving forward. So if you can kind of talk to
Mm.
a little bit about what is that, that thing that motivates you, what keeps you moving forward after all these decades?
There's a lot of times that Christine and I even today say, I wish I would have known this stuff
Mhm.
earlier. And really, I think you nailed it that I got to the point where I applied the things I was learning in my martial arts training to my chiropractic career. And so what the biggest thing in that, it's not, let's smack someone's neck to adjust it, but instead, the concept that you're never truly done learning,
Mm.
that there's always something out there that we can still improve on. And if I was going to tell someone, what advice would I give them? What keeps me going is that I want to be the best I possibly can. And the best I possibly can, even at, today is different than what that's going to be a week from now or 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And so it's on a day-to-day basis as we have babies and kids and families come through the doors. I see them as family. We have pictures of all of our kids in the office on the walls in the adjusting rooms. And a couple patients have made jokes in the past like, "Hey, are these all your grandkids?" And I seriously answer them with, "Yes, they are."
Mhm.
Because that's the way I feel about every single one of them. I give them the same care I would want to give my own children or my own grandchildren. And
Yeah.
good enough just isn't good enough. I want to continue to improve. I want to continue to sharpen those skills, and there's always improvement that we can do. We're supposed to be moving our profession forward, not just reinventing the wheel. So the only way we can do that is to continue to work on the skills so that the next generation can be passed something of value and they can take it further.
And so you certainly see that in your practice, and I'm sure you're seeing that in the results in your practice. And tell us a little bit about what like teaching now, like that. So now you're not only, doing this for your own patients, but you're actually planting these seeds in other chiropractors who are doing it for their communities. And tell us a little bit about that journey and how that's been for you.
This is a journey of honor because you work so hard in so many great names, in the history of chiropractic. I've had the opportunity to sit at their feet. I've had the opportunity to have them pour into me, including both of you. You have been around, and you have experiences that will definitely benefit chiropractic through the generations. But I'm also very aware that if there isn't a continuation of the transmission of information, in one generation we lose it.
Yep.
True.
Literally, that's
Certainly true.
as far as it takes for us to lose everything.
Yeah. You lose things a lot faster than you gain them.
Right. And so teaching gives me the opportunity to basically honor all of my teachers and be able to give back to the profession that I love, and that profession that has given to me and my family so much. So honestly, that's the big thing about teaching. It's not a notch in my belt. It's not an ego thing, but instead it's a service thing. It's an opportunity to help those out there that are looking for the same questions that I had, that I now have answers for. And honestly, if I don't share that information, I see it as fairly selfish, that to keep that to myself. I don't care about necessarily lifting me, but lifting our profession, I definitely care about that.
I think that, I listen to you talk, and I know that you're a martial artist, and I've studied some martial arts, and I think that the thing that martial arts and chiropractic has in common is the humbleness, the humility, and the understanding that mastery never stops. Like
Right.
it's like I've been in practice 43 years, and sometimes I get into the office and I figure something out, or I find something, or I see something. Oh my God, look at that! It's like these light bulbs keep going off, and it's the same thing in martial arts. Every time you do a martial arts, you learn a new routine, or you face another foe. It's a whole different ball game. It's like you've learned a certain pattern, and just like we teach a certain technique, whether it be we teach an SOT, or whether it be cranial work, or whether it be Thompson, or whatever you do, and then you get to a person who, well, they haven't read the manual. Like
Right, right,
and then you have to be able to think, and that's the idea of mastery, and that's what I think also when I've watched you over the years too, and I think it's true for me too, when you start to teach, you actually start to really think more, incorporate more, and even grow more, because not only are you learning in your practice, but then you have to up that grade to share that knowledge and share that information with people. So the learning, I think it intensifies,
And
at
the
least
well,
for
and
me.
the other piece of that, which I think you see in the martial art as well as in many other systems, is honoring what came before you.
Mm.
And we certainly couldn't see what we see if we weren't standing on someone's shoulders. And I think you'd really see that in teaching. And I know, like in the Eastern philosophy, the teacher is the highest honor. I mean, it's higher than a doctor. I mean, they honor teachers because they understand that they're sharing their knowledge with the next generation, and there can't be anything more powerful than that. So I really respect, and we really are so happy to have you on our teaching team, Ken. Your insights, your style has been so well received, and we really appreciate it. So we'd like to thank you for that. And I guess I kind of want to just kind of ask you, getting back to some of the things that we do in your practice, there's something that you'd want to share with our viewers, some of your favorite things that you now carry with you like every day. It's like it's an everyday thing for you, and something that maybe they might want to learn or something like that.
This I had thought about a little bit, and really, it's a combination of three big things, and when we're doing one, it's approaching the nervous system at the beginning when we're talking about pediatrics, especially from a dural meningeal standpoint, from that thought process, because we don't have a whole lot of strong osseous stuff happening in pediatrics. So why do we adjust? And realistically, there are reasons to adjust. So when we're talking about the Atlas axis dural restriction techniques, the orthobiotomy techniques, especially in the cervicals, and the occipital line fibers, gives such a specificity to my care. And those tools alone, being able to know with certainty where to adjust, where not to adjust, and the understanding that I can do technically less work and get more done by utilizing those things, that's probably biggest thing, if I had to talk about the whole population in the office, those are the tools that I probably use the very most out of all of them.
I think, the what we always call in peak potential, like the linchpin adjusting, like finding that linchpin, first of all, finding the subluxation, not the compensation. I always go crazy, and I was just doing this while watching somebody on YouTube literally adjust somebody's spine up and down the entire spine, side posture, both sides of the neck. That's not adjusting. That's just manipulation. You don't do that to a baby. And the whole idea is, you're right, is to find that linchpin, find the thing that's going to change that person's nervous system. I think that's really important. I know we teach that a lot. I know that you use that a lot, and a lot of teachers use that. And it does a lot of things for you. Number one, it does speed up the time you're in the office with that patient. But number two, what it really does is it stops dysregulating a nervous system that in many cases is already dysregulated. When we're talking about kids now, dysregulation is like the number one thing that kids come into chiropractors offices for. And if you
Mhm.
start throwing a lot of input into their nervous system, you actually offset that a lot worse. And primal reflexes, all that starts to come back, and they get in fight or flight state. So we're really putting as little input in as but a specific input in is actually doing justice. And I really think that that's a really important concept that we need to carry forward in chiropractic.
I agree. You see, it was either BJ or DD that said that, chiropractic is nothing if not specific.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And we truly do need that specificity in care, definitely in pediatrics. We may get away with a lot more in adults, but
Sure.
kids simply can't tolerate
If
just
they
that
get
top to bottom adjusting.
yeah. True.
So, Ken, we certainly find your life inspiring. We find your story inspiring. We're so happy to share that with others. Is there something that you would like to share with the viewers, some memorable experience that, that can maybe there's something that would inspire others as well?
I was trying to think of, what story, because there's so many in the office, and they happen day to day, the miracle stories, and we could talk forever, but with that, but really, there's only one that has ever truly brought me to tears, in the room with the mother sitting right there. And it was a little one who was a foster baby,
Mhm.
and she was um, well, mom had been doing all sorts of illicit drugs and such like that, so she was addicted.
Mhm.
And tone, just the general tension of this little one from the moment she was born up until she even came into the office was insane. At just a couple weeks old, she's completely rigid. She doesn't really move because of the tension.
Yeah.
And we worked with her, and you keep on seeing improvement from the indicators clearing, and you keep seeing function slowly improve, but that tension was enough that she wasn't even sleeping. The child was sleeping minutes at a time, and that's where any rest that they were getting was coming from, crying constantly. And then there was the one day, I don't even know how long into care, it wasn't two adjustments in, it was like 2 months in type of thing. And I was just simply finishing up. She was still tense, and I had her up on my shoulder, and I was doing a modified SOR because
Mhm.
laying down was impossible for her. And as we were doing and rocking that little sacrum, all of a sudden, she just released. Her whole body just melted. Her head dropped into my shoulder. You felt her just take a deep breath outward for the first time. And mom saw it. I mean, the whole room just kind of went,
Change. Yeah, the whole energy of the room changed, I bet. Yeah.
exactly. And
Right.
at that
Yeah.
point, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it brought me to tears. It's like, and I told mom then, I don't do this. Um, I've seen stuff,
Yeah.
so I don't it doesn't I don't go to tears
Yeah.
easily with that,
Yeah.
but just to feel finally that little one who had been through such hell her
Mm.
whole beginning of her life to just shift down,
Mhm.
that made everything that we've done up to this point worth it.
Yeah.
All the work, all the studying, all the
Yeah.
the pursuing of being better. It was all worth it in that moment.
Well, it's the pebble in the water analogy. You just saw that happen to that kid. Now think of a family where the kid's not sleeping and the parents are up all the time, and there's other siblings, and they're not getting the attention they need because you've changed like that repercussion, Judd. Like you felt the energy shift in the room. Now they're bringing this new child home. The energy is going to just continue to shift and shift and shift, and that's one of the miracles I think about chiropractic is that it has that pebble in the water, that ripple effect. It's like we don't just somebody change their nervous system because then it affects everybody else's nervous system within their environment. It just keeps spreading out and spreading out and spreading out.
Yeah, so it's like we just never know the long-term consequences of that act of letting that child relax and finally arrive and finally feel safe enough to let go. It's amazing. Well, Ken, we find you inspiring. We're happy to have you on our team. Being a lead instructor, and we just it's just an amazing journey to be with you. We're hoping to do more and more of this, but we're going to share this with everyone. If someone wants to reach out to you and know more about your practice or what you do, how can they contact you?
Probably the easiest way is through Instagram. It's at Dr. Ken Cooper. Just all one word.
At Dr. Dr. Right? It's Dr.
Yeah, not the word doctor, but Dr. Ken Cooper.
All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Dr. Cooper does practice in Michigan. So for all you Midwestern doctors, this is where you will find him.
Good.
And
If you want to contact us,
no,
you can get to us at DrMartinRosen@gmail.com is good, or DrMartinRosen.com on our website to contact us as well.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Have a great night. Yeah. Bye-bye.